From Voodoo Barbecue, 2740 Severn, right off the corner of Veterans and Severn, it's the Prep Recruiting Insider Show. We're at a place that serves the best barbecue in the city of New Orleans. Look at that barbecued chicken. Welcome to Prep Recruiting Insider. I'm Ken Berthelot along with Rene, Nadeau, and each week we'll be looking at some of the best recruits from the local area, letting you know how they performed, who's after them, who's trying to steal them away. And Rene, you're keeping track of your own top 25 recruiting each week, and I'll tell you what, it's a flexible list, and a lot of kids are trying to break into Rene Nadeau's top 25.
Well, you know, it's interesting, and each week we're going to have guys moving up and down a little bit, and you know, it all counts on February 4th when signing day takes place, but guys are going to be committing, decommitting, moving around, looking at different places, so it'll be interesting as the recruiting process goes along.
Let's get right into Rene Nadeau's top 25, and we'll count them down backwards, starting with number 25 on this week's list, Ed Duplessis from St. Paul's.
Ed Duplessis out of St. Paul's, he's a sub 4'5" guy, 6'3", 215. Kajana Curtis out of Holy Cross, big week last week, Tulane, Missouri, Texas, Oregon, all very interested in him. Lynn Clark at 22 and 23, and Eric Bell, a new entry into that top 25. He's interesting. He's out of West St. John, good physical speed. He's a Tulane commitment. Devin Scott moves up out of West Jeff, deep threat as a wide receiver. Brandon Porter is a guy who can play a number of positions. San Diego State commit. Seth and Carter out of Rummel. He's a key target for Damian Williams. Jay Washington out of St. Paul's. Interception against Lincoln, a big play a couple of weeks ago. Draper Riley out of West Jefferson. And Nolan Sharp, who's at protector for the quarterback at Destrehan.
And now we're in your top 15 right here.
Brandon Godfrey, a Tulane commitment, can play a number of positions on the offensive line. Sherman Beatty, boy, he's moving up. He'll be he's getting a lot of attention from a lot of BCS schools. Damian Williams, quarterback from Rummel, had a big game against St. Augustine last week, accounting for a couple of touchdowns. Eugene Graisley will be with us in just a little bit. And Corey Smith out of Old Perry Walker, a Tulane commit, 6'6", 250, of physical size.
We'll take a look at Sherman Beatty too, because a little bit later on in the show, because it's interesting to see how he is performing better and better each week, and more BCS schools are taking interest. Let's take a look at the top 10.
Kenny Chuck Baker, a LSU commitment out of Salmon. He's not afraid to run those crossing routes. Good hands. Ryan Hofield is a Florida State commit, a center. He plays tackle for Brother Martin. Duke Riley, we're going to get a good look at him in a little bit. He's got a lot of schools looking at him. Ronald Lewis, wide receiver, is committed to Arizona State. He's not only a good wide receiver, a great return specialist. And Edward Williams, a new entry into the top 10 out of Warren Easton, a Texas A&M commit, 6'3", 230, squats 525. He is an old school linebacker. When he hits the running backs, they're going in the other direction.
And then the top 5.
Standish Dobar, a little movement here. Standish Dobar, the tight end out of Edna Carr. Noel Lewis moves up one spot. He's a Texas A&M commit. Of course, Carr 2-0. Raheem Falkins, we'll talk with him in just a little bit. The 6'4", 210-pound receiver committed to Alabama. Ricky Jefferson, multi-sport athlete at Destrehan. He's committed to LSU. He'll play cornerback. He's playing wide receiver for Stephen Robichaud at Destrehan. And Kenneth Santamaria, 6'7", 335. People are amazed at his athleticism.
And no changes in that top 5, but I'm really impressed with the young man from Warren Easton who comes in here in the number 6 spot, breaking into your top 25.
Well, you know, I was very impressed with him, Kenny, and the thing is with him, with Edward Williams, Texas A&M, he's got his commitment right now, but a lot of schools are still after him. 6'3", 235, and he's an old school kind of guy, covers the pass very well, really feels well, covers from sideline to sideline, and I think we'll have a chance to visit with him in the next few weeks out of Warren Easton. What a great linebacker he is.
Let's take a look at some video on some of these young men who are in Rene's top 25, and a couple of them had some big games right here, including Duke Riley on WHNOtv20 Sports last Friday night against East St. John. Where you see the football, you'll find number 40.
And Duke Riley, you know, he's a guy 6'1", 205, 4'6", 40, and you see he's all around the ball, Kenny. He's got a lot of offers. He has 15 offers, good-looking linebackers right there. LSU, Tulane, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Houston are really high on him. And as you alluded to, he covers a very rangy guy. He'll probably add about 15 to 20 pounds to his frame. But look, recognizes, fills the gap, shoots through the A gap. good look at Duke Riley. He's going to make someone an outstanding get for the 2013 season.
Boy, and then he's got a defensive player that's right there with him, who a lot of people like too, and Richard Allen in the defensive backfield for John Curtis.
I like Richard Allen a lot too, and he's a Tulane commit. He's going to be a special player for Tulane. He's a return specialist. That's what he does well. Great instincts on the ball, 5'9", 175, very explosive, good instincts, good break on the ball. He can play cornerback, safety, or nickel, but this is what he does well. He returns the ball, look at him hit the gap quickly and explodes outside. He's a 4-4 guy. You're not going to catch him easily unless you get a good angle on him. High ACT, so he's very intelligent. Again, a punt return specialist, Kenny. Not very big, about 175, but you don't have to be big when you can do this. Explode down the sidelines and puts the Patriots in outstanding position.
Well, and that was some outstanding video by our WHNO television crew, too. When we do these games, they do an excellent job with that. Let's talk a little bit about Rumble, because they've got a quarterback that's got a lot of people licking their chops. You talked about him in your top 25, and that's Damian Williams.
Damian Williams, and that's a guy I like a lot. You know, we've kind of talked about him a little bit, Kenny.
And we haven't seen him play healthy yet, not real healthy.
No, he played a big game against St. Aug last week with a hamstring injury that kept him. He was a game-time decision. But look, he makes good decisions, stays strong in the pocket, good touch pass right here. He's got some good receivers, but he can do it all. 6'1", 215, can tuck it and go, or can throw a nice touch pass over the top right here. You know, he's going to make somebody a great get. We talked a little bit last week about, you know, comparing him to a Munchie Legault, who's now an end-the-car guy who's playing for Cincinnati, or even Danny Wimpron, who played at Curtis, who was the all-time leading passer in Memphis. Someone is going to get a steal, just like those two guys, and is going to make a fine quarterback in the college level. He can make all the throws, and here's a nice throw on the edge here. Fade pattern and the edge of the end zone. But what a big game he had against St. Augustine last week, leading the Rumble Radio Straight 42-12 win over St. Augustine.
And before we take a break, we can't get away without taking a look at a young man that started out not impressing some of the big BCS schools, and now they're taking a close look. That's Curtis running back Sherman Beatty.
Sherman Beatty, he ran a 4.38 at a camp, and he's opened some eyes. You know, he's got interest from Tulane, North Texas, Arkansas State, McNeese, Memphis, and Minnesota, but he is moving up the charts. 5'10", 200. Great moves. He's got a little bit of a Joe McKnight and a Chris Howard, a couple of former Curtis running backs. Both went to the NFL. Of course, Joe McKnight still with the Jets. But Kenny, you had a chance to see him last week, and he's not only a good runner, he's a good blocker, good cutback right here. He plants that foot and explodes out of his cuts, and he's going to be the total package.
Well, I tell you what, some exciting kids. You've got some BCS schools and non-BCS schools licking their chops. When we come back, we're going to take a look at 4 of the biggest players in the local area, and they come from Carver High School. All of that on Prep Recruiting Insider from Voodoo Barbecue here at 2740 Severn, right here in Metairie. Back at Voodoo Barbecue, 2740 Severn, right near the corner of Veterans and Severn, the best barbecue, bar none, here in New Orleans. Ken Berthelot, along with Rene, Nadeau, and a couple of Carver Rams that have recruiting people at all the colleges. Their recruiters licking their chops. Sitting next to me is quarterback Joey Lewis, and next to him, Raheem Falkins, who is already committed to the University of Alabama. And folks, I got to tell you, you guys have really done an amazing job getting Carver off to a 2-0 start, and that says a lot about what you all have accomplished together as a quarterback-wide receiver combination.
Yeah, me and Raheem, we come a long way. We've been playing together since freshmen. We just work hard at practice and did what we had to do, and now we're a combination that we feel that can take us very far in the playoffs. He's my go-to guy. Also, along with Nigel, Veal, when I needed my trouble guy, we just work hard and do what we had to do, and we started off on a 2-0.
Joey Lewis was a quarterback on that team in 2010 that lost 10 games. Now you're off to a 2-0 start after taking Carver to the playoffs last year. You may go from 0-10 as a sophomore to 10-0 as a senior. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we just been working hard, doing what we had to do. We grind all summer, played in practice, and we trusting our guys. We trusting what we're doing at practice, and making sure we're doing what we have to do and coming out every week with it on our mind. And just let's play football, that's it.
Raheem, I know the guy sitting next to you has just had you way up in his top 25 of recruits each year. He gets excited about your play. You have to be very excited about the way Carver has started and your combination and your ability to work with this quarterback right here, Joey Lewis.
Yeah, like you said, we've been going at it since the freshman. And whenever he called my number, I just hope I can make a play for him, and I follow his lead.
Rene, you've got some questions, I know, for these.
I do, and I'm excited to have these two guys here. We got another recruit that's a junior. He'll be getting a lot of attention next year. But Raheem, first of all, I know your favorite player. We were talking. Your favorite player is Marcus Colston. You've had a chance to work out with him. Take us a little bit through the recruiting process. You know, Alabama is right now the school. You committed to Alabama, USC, LSU, some other schools. But how was the recruiting process for you?
That was pretty lovely. It was something I never experienced, and I loved it. I wish I could go through it again, but you only get one time, so you gotta enjoy it. And I enjoyed it. And I picked down.
Now, what sold you on Alabama?
The atmosphere, the love, the connection that I made with the coaches when I went up there, and they recruited the hardest.
Now, tell us, I've already said you're 6'4", about 205. Give us your measurables. What's your height, your weight, your 40, and you got a pretty good vertical.
My 40 probably up to be a 4'5" guy. My height 6'4", hope I get the other inch. And my weight 205, 203.
And what do you think you need to work on to play as a true freshman at Bama?
I just got to keep working hard every day, you know, running good routes, using my size, and just being a better football player.
Joey, I know you had a great year last year, 30 touchdowns. I think you just had 2 or 3 interceptions. You have the skills to play quarterback. You may be playing on the other side of the ball in college. What's some options for you, and what's some of the schools that perhaps you may be looking at to play in college?
Arizona State, Langston University. But right now, Arizona State is the biggest recruit. You know, but playing on the other side of the ball is a little bit more. Is a little bit more advantage for me because I know what the quarterback's going to do 9 times out of 10, and I'm pretty smart on, like with Coach Carey, I worked on coverages. I know how to read the defense pretty good. I know all the coverages. So I'm a little bit advanced on the defensive side of the ball. I just got to work hard when I do play on defense and make sure I work at cornerback and reading the quarterback eyes and doing what I have to do.
You had 216 yards, 4 touchdowns last week, 102 yards running, Joey, and a pair of scores. What do you feel like is your strong suit as a quarterback?
As a strong suit, being a quarterback, I know the game, the coverages. That's my strong suit. I read them. I read the coverages good. I know how to step up in the pocket. I'm a versatile quarterback. You know, I'm just a little short in the pocket. I have to step up, but when I call on my guys, they know where I need to go with the ball. They're there whenever I need them.
You know, it's something that you guys are a wide open attack. And you play in the district with the likes of John Curtis and schools like that. It has to be an advantage that you guys present a team like that, a very highly rated school, an offense that they don't see very often.
Curtis is a pretty good team. You know, they pretty good defense. They're big, they're strong, got pretty good offense. You know, but we come to play. We come to play football. We work hard all summer, and this is what it's about. When competition come up, that's what we love. We want to compete against the best. They say they're the best, so we love to compete against the best.
I like Joey's strong arm. You saw on that video his ability to take a hit. Raheem, you've got to be impressed because he can scramble around, and when he does that, that allows you to get open sometimes and make some things happen for the Rams that might not be open otherwise.
Yeah, you know me, I'm a guy, I just love to make plays. Whenever you call me, I want to make the play. I'm a playmaker.
Working together as long as you two have worked together, what type of a special bond that you have? You sort of know each other, you know what you're going to do. Explain that a little bit, how that's helped you be successful this year.
Raheem, he comes on me a lot when we're at home. We watch film together. He tell me what I'm doing wrong. I tell him what I'm doing wrong, what he's doing wrong. We just know each other. I know where he wants the ball. He calls on my, whenever he say give him the ball, I feed it to him. He's a big guy, you know, he's 6'4", senior. There's not much, you ain't gonna get pretty good receivers that big in high school, so whenever I need him, I call to him and I go to him, and he's my guy.
Well, this is a recruiting show, and we talk about the schools that want you guys. Has the recruiting experience been a good experience for both of you?
Yeah, it's been good. I've visited a lot of schools. It's good. It's very good. It shows you, it opened up doors. It shows you how life is. It shows you how it is on a college campus. You know, no place ain't like college football. So when it's time to step on a college level, you just can't never get satisfied. You have to work hard. That's all.
Raheem, as you look ahead, you watching those TV games on the colleges often?
Yeah, I focused in a lot more on the college ball this year. Watch guys and see what I'm gonna go up against and what I'm gonna face. And, you know, getting ready.
Well, these are two special players, Rene.
I was going to say, you know, one thing I do a lot of college football, and the SEC is very physical, as you know, Raheem. And one thing that they really look for the receivers is blocking. How is your blocking?
I'm a phenomenal blocker. I love to get physical, very physical. And it can speak for itself.
And Raheem, all blocking, as you know, all blocking is 1-2, desire and technique, and that's all it is. You want to do it and have the right technique. And I really like it, you know, the attitude of both you guys. And I know Marshall Falk's name comes up. You know, that's the you know, that's the guy when you mentioned Carver, and that's something that, and I guess you guys got to feel good about the fact that someone who has success like Marshall has had has played the same place you guys have.
I mean, it's something to compete against. You know, you want to do what you could do, to go where you got to go. You know, by Marshall being the guy that he is, I mean, it set high expectations for us to do what we got to do.
All right, let's take a break and tell you what, we've enjoyed visiting with both Joey Lewis and Raheem Falkins. We'll be right back. Raheem's going to stay with us. We're all going to meet Nigel Veal. That coming up right after this on Prep Recruiting Insider from Voodoo Barbecue, 2740 Severn, right near the corner of Veterans and Severn in Metairie. Look at that rack of ribs. You can get the full, the third, or the half. A full, 10 yards and a first down. We are back at Voodoo Barbecue, 2740 Severn, right at the corner almost of Severn and Veterans. Fabulous barbecue. Hope you've been enjoying the shots of the dishes and the plates that they have as we go into our breaks. Ken Berthelot along with Rene, Nadeau, and we've got two more Carver Rams with us to talk a little bit about the magnificent start they're having. We're meeting with Nigel, Veal, and staying with us is Raheem Falkins. And Nigel, congratulations on the great start. You guys are just off to a fabulous start. You're a wide receiver, coming in at 5'10", 185, a junior. So far, tell us about this good start and what it's meant to you and the Carver Rams.
Well, man, it starts off in the summer. You know, for us being top recruits, for us in the summer, we don't take no off season. There's no off season. We never stop working.
As a junior, you're playing with some senior leaders who have been around for a long time. Many of them were there 3 years ago when this team didn't win a game. They took this team to the playoffs. You're learning a lot from them. What do you as a wide receiver learn from somebody like Raheem?
Well, man, it's kind of great. I learn about everything. We go home at night, study film. We tell me my mistakes, the little minor mistakes that we make to be a good football player.
Well, Rene, you've got to give it to him. He knows he's got a good player in front of him, and he's learning a lot from Raheem.
He really is, and you know, I'm going to have a couple of questions for Nigel, but Raheem, we were talking a little bit earlier in the first segment. You'll be going up to Alabama. You committed to Alabama. You'll be going up there in January, and how is that going to help you get the jump start, getting some playing time for 2013?
I mean, it gives me a chance to come in and compete for a starting job, get to learn the rotation, get the feel of what's going on. I'll be up there 7 months early before it really kicks off, so, you know, pretty good chance.
And a lot of guys you're seeing there will be returning. Quarterback, you know, he'll be back next year, so it's kind of good to get yourself familiar with the guys you're going to be playing on offense, get some playing times, get in good with Doug Nussmeier, who's a good friend, who's an offensive coordinator. Got to make sure you schmooze with those guys a little bit.
You know, I got to come in and get to know everyone pretty well, come in and compete and just be ready to go.
Nigel, I know you're getting some attention from some schools right now. You play both sides of the ball. Talk a little bit about the recruiting process, how it's going through with Joey and Raheem, and who's some of the schools that is giving you some attention right now?
Well, one of the schools that have offered me a scholarship already was Ole Miss. I mean, as you know, I'm a junior, so I have more than enough time to go through the full recruiting process.
And what do you feel like is the strength? You're playing wide receiver, you play a little defense as well. Where do you feel like your future lies in college football?
Well, slot receiver in between the hashes.
Okay, and what kind of speed you feel like you have?
Up-tempo.
Are you a 4.5 kind of guy, a little fast, a little up in that area?
Well, I mean, I haven't noticed yet.
And you also play other sports. Talk about, you have a track background, you also play basketball.
Oh yeah, well, I had played basketball my sophomore year and my freshman year. I played baseball. I've been playing baseball since I was young, at a young age. Won a state championship. I mean, it's awesome.
And Raheem, I know that you guys have to have your sights. This is your last go around with you and Joey. You got to feel good about where you are, 2-0 right now. Defense against McDonald last week, the Ram defense held McDonald to 33 yards rushing. It's got to help the offense, make you feel good about where you guys are going from here.
Yeah, we come in every week and we put in hard work. You know, if you put in hard work, it's going to show on the field. And we worked hard that whole week, and our defense did a pretty good job. Our captain stepped up and made plays. And our young guys even got a chance to get in and see the field. So we just got to keep going and working hard, take it a step at a time.
And what are you looking for? You have another year to go with this, but what are you looking for in a school as you go through the recruiting process, Nigel?
Fortunately, I would be looking to more schools as far as on the West Coast because I'm a speedy guy. I like the up-tempo and the speed as far as in those offenses.
Nigel, have you learned anything about the recruiting process from the upperclassmen like Joey Lewis and Raheem here? Have they given you any pointers that's helped you through this process?
Oh well, yeah, of course. I have been to colleges to experience the atmosphere at a young age, being a junior. I have been to Alabama with Raheem before, like 2 times. So man, it's great. It's a great feeling.
I want to wish you guys the best of luck. Best of luck with the way you go at Alabama, and good luck through the recruiting process. It ought to be a pleasurable experience, and whichever way you decide, we'll be watching you, and we'll be wishing you luck all the way. All righty, we want to thank all of the Carver Rams for being with us right here on the Prep Recruiting Insider, and when we come back, we'll be looking at our SportsNOLA.com top 10 polls and some of the key matchups we'll keep a close eye on this week. All of that coming your way from Voodoo Barbecue, 2740 Severn. What a rack of ribs. The full rack, the half rack, or 1/3. We are back at Voodoo Barbecue, 2740 Severn, near the corner of Betts and Severn. I want to thank manager Chandra Piku and area manager Jim Leslie for having us here as their guest. And I'll tell you what, the Voodoo Barbecue, best in the city, bar none. Time to take a look, Rene, at our top 10 SportsNOLA.com polls, 5A through 1A, picked every week by Ken Trahan and his panel of sports writers and sportscasters. Here is 5A, a tie for the #1 spot, Archbishop Rummel and Barb.
And Rummel with that big win over St. Aug last week, 42-12. West Jefferson, the #5 spot. High-powered offense. #7, Jesuit, led by Tanner Lee, 552 yards and 7 scores last week against Shaw. And St. Paul's in the #10 slot, led by linebacker Ed Duplessis, a member of our top 25.
And remember, their 2 losses came to Lincoln from Florida in the Sugar Bowl Classic, and also to John Curtis in a game that was scheduled very, very late. Here's 4A with Neville at the top.
Great defense by Carr, also 45 points against Zestrahan last week. Speedy Noel with 3 touchdowns. Lutcher with a big effort. Salmon can line it up with anybody. Chuck Baker, the wide receiver. East Jefferson coming on will surprise some people. They have a very good offense.
Yeah, big game coming up too. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's go to the Class 3A top 10. SportsNOLA.com top 10 polls. Parkview Baptist at the top.
Parkview Baptist is really going to be they walloped Redemptus last week. E.D. White, 3 wins over very high-ranked teams. Brewery, St. Charles Catholic has been tough. They've had a tough going thus far, and Meat is a team to watch.
Yeah, but watch. Well, I'll tell you what. Don't look past St. Charles Catholic. You know, Frank's going to get that. Frank Mona's going to get that team back on track. They were affected by Hurricane Isaac, and who else would be at the top of the 2A poll but John Curtis?
John Curtis, not only the top of the 2A, but the number one in the country, number one team in the country. Calvary Baptist, watch out for them. They pulled a big win over West Monroe. Evangel is also going to be in the thick of things. And I tell you what, I think 2A may be the toughest district or the toughest classification in all the state.
Keep your eye on number 3 because Winfield might be the team that challenges John Curtis down the road in the Louisiana Superdome. And here's your 1A poll.
West St. John, stout defense, came up close against a 5A school last week. Haynesville always good, back to the Red Franklin days, and Southern Lab, what talent they have, great running backs.
You know, as you look at this top 10 poll in each of the classifications, you had a statement, you made a comment that was very, very important. 2A might be as strong, especially the top 5 teams in 2A. They could probably play with anybody in 5A, maybe even move up to a 6, 7, or 8A if they were in Texas or Florida.
Well, you know, and
they're strong.
You got John Curtis, and you have Calvary, and you have Winfield, and you have Evangel. I mean, those teams can compete with anybody, and you know, it's a shame that you can't have 3 teams in the finals in the Superdome, but Evangel is going to be in the thick of things, John Curtis, and of course Calvary Baptist. It'll be tough sledding if you're in a 2A to get to the Dome.
Let's look at some of the key matchups that will take place this coming Friday night. And we'll start off with Rummel, ranked number 1 in our 5A poll, going to Denham Springs. And this is a key matchup because Denham Springs is getting some votes in the poll now. They're a stronger team. They're getting better each week. I think this is a trap game if Rummel's still thinking about the big victory over St. Aug.
And that'll come with coaching with Jay Roth to make sure his team is ready to go against a very talented Denham Springs Yellow Jacket team. Damian Williams looks like he has his legs, his health back, so it'll be a key matchup for the Rummel Raiders.
Well, at Berman Stadium, Salmon's coming to town to take on Edna Carr, and boy, this is a big game. Salmon, as you just saw, ranked right up there in the top 10.
And with Chuck Baker, the wide receiver, he's a guy you got to give a lot of attention to. Edna Carr, 45-7 win over Destrehan. Speedy Knoll, we mentioned earlier, 3 touchdowns, and what a defense Carr has.
East Jefferson at Bell Chase, Friday at 7 p.m. East Jefferson climbing into the top 10 polls too.
East Jefferson can show they can run on the ground. They have a really good offense. Bell Chase with a good defense. They got some players that are really starting to get some attention from recruiters.
On the North Shore, the Covington Lions are at St. Paul's. Covington off to a fast 2-0 start. Beat Franklinton and Higgins so far.
Covington Malta Scoble does a great job over there with the Lions. St. Paul's had a big win last week. They look like they're back on track again after that really tough loss in the Dome.
And they lost to Lincoln. They lost to Lincoln in the Dome, and of course that was that Sugar Bowl Classic. And with that, of course, the school coming from Florida. And remember, when St. Paul's and Curtis both lost the football game because of Hurricane Isaac, they decided to play each other. So one of their losses is to John Curtis, and there's a lot of college teams that would lose to John Curtis this year.
Well, St. Paul's, again, undefeated last year. They know what it is to win. They want to get back to the winning ways.
And our last key matchup, do we have one more? That might be up. Covington at St. Paul's. We just talked about it. So, Franklinton and Bogalusa. That's the one I was looking for. Franklinton and Bogalusa. Always a big game on the North Shore when you get to Franklinton, the Demons, at the Bogalusa Lumberjacks, Friday night at 7 p.m.
Backyard brawl. It's like Pittsburgh and West Virginia. Man, I've done that, and I tell you what, that's going to be. The fans are coming out. It's a big rivalry.
You know, it doesn't feel like we're already into the part of the season where you've got big games, rivalry games, but we are, and these are important games. And in some cases, you're watching the start of district play, and you've got to get off if you're to a fast start in district if you want to make those plays.
Another week or so, Kenny, you'll be at the halfway point, and coaches know if you're not established at the halfway point, you're in trouble. So these teams are starting to hit stride, and before you know it, in the early part of November, the season's going to be over. So now is the time to act.
With that, hope that you will be supporting one of the high schools, one of the key matchups, or a high school in your area, and watch these young men play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back with our player of the week and our coach of the week and our sponsor of the week All of that's coming your way from the Voodoo Barbecue on Severn Avenue in Metairie. Ooh, look at that St. Louis style rack of ribs. Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider from the Voodoo Barbecue, 2740 Severn, near the corner of Betts and Severn. Absolutely fabulous barbecue. And our guest on this segment is Larry Kloss, the owner and CEO of Max Home in New Bath, and he'll be with us each week, or one of his representatives will, to announce the Coach and Player of the Week. And Larry, glad to have you with us again this week.
Glad to be back, Ken.
I know you're going to be enjoying some of this great Voodoo Barbecue with us in just a little while.
I'm very excited about that.
Well, let's announce the Prep Recruiting Insider and Max Home New Bath Player of the Week.
The Player of the Week is Tanner Lee, senior quarterback at Jesuit, completed 64% of his passes for 695 yards and 8 touchdowns, and did not throw an interception against Shaw. What a performance, and I think he had 552 pass yards and 7 touchdowns in one game. So that certainly makes the Player of the Week.
And what's amazing, Rene, is more people talk about many other quarterbacks. You don't hear his name mentioned a whole lot, but he's quietly taking Jesuit to the top.
He really is, and the thing is that he's committed to Tulane right now, and he's a drop back. He's a classic drop back quarterback and does everything that Jesuit asked him to do. But as Larry just alluded to a second ago, 695 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns. He had 552, 7 against Shaw last week, no interceptions, 64% of his tosses. He just does things very smartly, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And Larry, you know how it is with a quarterback. If you can handle the ball and he can get you down the field, whether it's short passing or whatever it may be, it don't have to be these beautiful bombs.
Well, our Coach of the Week is going to be a guy who pulled off a stunning upset of the St. Aug Purple Knights. They were steamrolling until they met Jay Roth and the Rummel Raiders.
Jay Roth, a guy I know personally and think very highly of. Rummel handed St. Augustine the first loss of the year, 42-18, and in the process stopped a Purple Knights steamrolling machine dead in its tracks. Rummel won despite not having a healthy Damian Williams, who was still nursing a hamstring pull. Williams basically played on one leg, unable to move. He still threw for 2 touchdowns. So Jay Roth, Prep Coach of the Week.
I'll tell you what, that's one fabulous job by Jay Roth, and I know you were impressed with that performance by Rummel last week also, Rene.
Really was. Kenny did a great job, and the thing about Jay is always, he's always got his teams ready to play, always got good defense, good line blocking. Damian Williams, as Larry alluded to, one leg wasn't full strength, but he got it up and ready to go against a really tough St. Aug team in a classic battle. 2 teams ready to play, 2 highly ranked teams, and Rummel came away with a decisive win.
Well, that was a big step for the Rummel Raiders. And one thing that I really like about both Tanner Lee, our Player of the Week, and Jay Roth, our Coach of the Week, they both display fantastic leadership qualities, something we see in this man sitting next to me, Larry Kloss, and the way he has built his business with both Max Home and New Bath. Again, for the 4th consecutive year, one of the top 10 fastest growing businesses here in the New Orleans area. And that's a compliment to you and the leadership that you not only exude within your organization, but I think demand from your staff.
Well, thank you, Ken. As Rene mentioned, showing up and being ready to play is important as business as it is in football. We have to show up every day and be ready to play when we go into people's homes, and we have to make sure that we keep them happy. And that's, our mission statement is everybody happy, and we live by it, and it takes, I appreciate the compliment of my leadership, but I'll tell you, I have about 120 employees, and there's a lot of leaders in there that make it happen every day. And those are the guys who, those are the offensive linemen who get in there and do the hard work.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a great analogy right there without question. And again, a word about New Bath and about Max Home to remind our people exactly the value and the class that you bring into their homes when they allow one of your salespeople to visit with them.
Well, we have a saying, you can relax with Max. And we know that there's a lot of competition in the market for home improvement. What we want to assure people of is not only do we have excellent products, but what we really want to make people aware of and we live by this is that they can relax when they choose us. They can relax that it'll be done right, it'll be done quickly, and we'll be there after the fact if there's any problems to take care of them, and we'll be there after the fact to help them with any of their other home needs, whether it's bathrooms, windows, outdoor living, water softeners, you name it, we can help them.
Well, the fact that you're local, the fact that you are a New Orleans-based business and you're right here in the backyard of people, I don't think that can be emphasized enough. Really can't.
And that's very, very, we're members of this community.
Yeah, and you're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere.
Well, as a guy who last week told us about playing in the oldest rivalry in the United States, which was your high school, and of course we were talking about the Holy Cross Jesuit as being the oldest rivalry in the South. We appreciate your support of high school football because we know what it means to this community, Larry.
And I know, I can tell you, I know what organized athletics means to the community as a whole also. Boy, when we see someone with a resume who's got high school or college athletics on it, we always give them a second look. We know the discipline it takes, the love of learning, the time put in. It means a lot to us. So we appreciate what high school athletics mean to this community also.
And if people watching are interested in New Bath or Maxome, all they've got to do is call this number right here or go to your website.
Go newbathnow.com or maxomenow.com.
Either one will get you there, and you will be represented by the absolute best in the business. Larry Claus, want to thank you for being with us or having one of your staff members here with us on a weekly basis to announce either the player or coach of the week. Thank you.
Thank you, and I love the food.
You better believe we'll be enjoying it in just a little while. Some of the great barbecue right here at Voodoo Barbecue, best barbecue in the city. We're at 2740 Severn, and that is a St. Louis style rack of ribs. Back at a legendary place for barbecue, Voodoo Barbecue, 2740 Severn. We are visiting with a legend on our legend segment, Shyrone Carey. Ken Berthelot along with Rene, Nadeau, and we've got a guy who, when he played at Shaw, was one great running back. Rushed for over 4,000 yards, scored 82 touchdowns, threw for about 22 more. So he was an all-around athlete, got scooped up in the recruiting process, which you'll talk about a little bit later on by LSU. You'll see some footage of him there. And Rene, Nadeau, you broadcast this game when Shyrone Carey was carrying the ball. Number 2.
Deuce was loose, and I remember this game very well, and we did this game, and there's Shyrone with a touchdown. That was a big game that propelled the Tigers onto the national championship in 2003, and what a collection of talent was on that team. And it was good look at Shyrone. You know, had a great career at Archbishop Shaw and took it on to LSU, and he has been coaching. He's going to go back to coaching. Spent a little time with Mickey Joseph, another Shaw, but he's at Langston, and he'll go back there. But Shyrone, it's always great to visit with you, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Great to be here.
Now let's talk a little bit about his Shaw days, because, man, you lit it up. You lit up the scoreboard. You lit up, nobody could tackle you. Nobody could catch you.
Right. Well, I think that due was in part to Coach Hank Tierney. He had a great scheme with the option blocking scheme and the transition to the double wing option. And it was a great scheme that allowed me to get in the opportunity to be in the open field and create a lot of space.
What do you remember best and some of your best, or your best moment, best memory of your playing days at Shaw, now that you're older and you've had time to reflect on it?
I really don't think about it much until people ask me about it, but I think one of my greatest fondest memories when we played Rummel, and I think it was the 3rd round of the playoff, and on the first play of the game, I took like a 65-yarder touchdown to the house. So that was kind of like one of my fondest memories in the Rummel game, because it was a big game. It meant a lot was at stake, and you know you want to perform. You know, as an athlete, you'll be judged on what are you doing in big moments.
Rene, that might have been the only game you didn't broadcast.
I tell you what,
we
used to be doing, Kenny Trey and I used to do a lot of games, high school games, and I was down on the field, and Hank Tierney loved this guy. And you know, I tell you, you talk to guys who followed prep football for a long time, and they'll tell you this was one of the best of all time. And you know, I remember a play real quick. You guys were playing Jesuit on a wet field at West Jeff Stadium, and there's 4 Jesuit Blue Jays surrounding Shyrone in the backfield, and how he got out of that, it was a Houdini move, and he takes off about an 82-yard touchdown run. And I remember one time he launched himself from about the 7 or 8 yard line into the end zone. I forgot it was a playoff game, but you know, the thing is, Shyrone, you averaged almost 9 yards a carry. So he didn't just put up numbers, he averaged 8.9 yards a carry, which is unbelievable. Take us through the recruiting process. There was a time that you were going to go to Tennessee, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you popped up at LSU and had a great career there.
Yeah, because LSU wasn't a given at first. There was a little battle that went on.
Right, absolutely. I had a great recruiting time with Philip Farmer. He kind of like took over the recruiting process with me, and he kind of like personally recruited me. You know, and at that time, that was a big deal when the head coach actually personally recruits you. So, you know, I had a lot of people telling me that. And when Nick Saban came in, he made a great impression on me through that whole process. And me and Coach, you know, still remain, you know, close today. So it was just a great opportunity, and I had the fortunate to change my decision to LSU, and I've been grateful for it ever since.
Okay, now this is interesting. Philip Fulmer's got him all locked up. He's gone to Tennessee, Rene, and then all of a sudden Nick Saban's at LSU at the time. We're not talking about Saban, Alabama. We're talking about Saban, LSU. What convinces you to go? What was it? Was it his personality, his style? What was it?
I think Coach Pete Jenkins, the great D-line coach, if y'all can remember, he coached at LSU. I think he had 2 runs with LSU, like in the 80s, and he came back with Coach Saban. Coach Pete Jenkins was great friends with Coach Hank Tierney at the time, and Coach, you know, that kind of like opened the door, so I developed a relationship with Coach Pete Jenkins, and from there, you know, it just spilled over, and I just chose to go to LSU and play my football career.
Oh, and what a career at LSU, Rene.
What are the schools that you really think about? Was there ever a time that you know, you had a pocket full of schools and you didn't know where to go? What were some of the schools you considered?
At the time, the school that I grew up loving was Florida State, and I took my visit to Southern Cal in California, so those were the 2 top schools on my list, because at the time, LSU wasn't doing a lot of winning, so like it never really was a school of my choice that I wanted to go to until, you know, I had the fortune to get with Coach Saban. We kind of like hit it off, develop a relationship, and it just kind of like, you know, grew from there.
A lot of times people will say young high school players will look at a school and see, are they on TV a lot? Will I get a lot of not only playing time, but prime time? Will I get a lot of air time? Did that play a role in your recruiting at all? Your decision making? I
mean, the vast difference between 2000 to now, it's totally different. You know, the magazines, the 4-star, the 5-star athletes. I think a lot of that sometimes you get lost in the shuffle. And I think it's more about the fit than actually just going to the best university or the ones that's on TV the most, because if you pick those schools and they're fit for your skill set and the thing that you bring to the game, what you need to get better at and you need to develop, if you got a dream to make it to the next level, it's very important that you also start to look at the fit in the university for your style of football and your style of play, where you could be successful at.
Shyrone, we only have about a minute left, so what advice would you give to a young man going through the recruiting process today?
My advice would be, you know, find a school where the coaches are going to care about the athlete off the field. It can't always be about football. You got to find the best situation, the best fit for you. And if you get in a situation where you feel like the coaches are trustworthy, they're being honest with you, and there's also life outside of football, then I think, you know, and they recruit you hard, you go with that situation and hope for the best. But you got to also go with a school that's going to fit what you do well, and that translates over to you developing it into the college player where you can still have success.
Okay, thank you very much. And Shyrone Carey, our legend on the legend segment, thanks for being with us and talking about recruiting and your great career at both Shaw and LSU. From the Voodoo Barbecue, back in a moment. Voodoo Barbecue and Grill, 2740 Severn, absolutely fabulous barbecue, the best in the city. I want to thank owner-operator Edward Thibodeau and his staff for having us for this edition of Prep Recruiting Insider. And I told Shyrone Carey, Rene, Nadeau, that you're taking credit for his career because the way you broadcast those games, you're just telling him you made him that good.
Well, you know, broadcasters can make those runs mighty, mighty nice.
Happy birthday.
Kenny Berthelot
Well, thank you
has
very
celebrated
much.
a birthday this past
you very
Monday. Happy birthday, Kenny.
Wowee.
And you know, birthdays are like old fuzzy slippers, Kenny. You don't think about them till you need them, but they make you feel good, buddy.
Well, well said. You caught me off. I don't even know what to say about that. Let's just say I've had a lot of them, so I'm in good practice, and I know you're going to eat that before I ever get to that. So a lot of fun here at Voodoo Barbecue, and I want to thank the staff here at Voodoo Barbecue. Look at that, and that's the kind of desserts you get here at Voodoo Barbecue, and goodness gracious, it's all so good here. We have really enjoyed this show, Prep Recruiting Insider, here. By the way, I want to remind everybody that we're going to be doing a football game next Friday, a week from now. It is the first NBC Prep Showcase, Riverside and John Curtis at, that's going to be at, in Kenner. And you and I are going to be doing that game together. A lot of fun on that one. It's going to be at Mus Bertolino, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that game. Again, it's going to re-air on Saturday at 4 p.m. So always fun to do a John
I'm looking
Curtis
forward
game.
to the game, and I'm looking forward to a Houdiniac and making this disappear. This is going to be great.
Well, you shook me up with this. I couldn't even talk in the last segment. So, hey, we want to thank the entire crew here at Voodoo Barbecue. Absolutely some of the most fabulous food and the best barbecue that you're going to get in the city of New Orleans. And I love this this location, the very best, 2740 Severn, on Severn, right by Veterans. And folks, you won't find a friendlier wait staff, better management, or again, better barbecue in the city of New Orleans. And I look forward to working with you on the next couple of Prep Recruiting Insiders, not only so we can enjoy great desserts like this, but so we can talk about the young men who are really lighting up the eyes of many recruiters, and some like Raheem already making their commitment. So
we're going to have a lot to talk about. If you don't want to miss these shows, things are going to change every week. And Kenny, I hope you have some more birthdays so we'll get served stuff like this.
For all of our guests and Rene Nadeau, I'm Ken Berthelot. For the entire WHNO staff and crew, thanks for being with us on this edition of Prep Recruiting Insider.